This video focuses on division of fractions. First thing we'll do, we'll take a problem and then we will go through a series of logical steps to work out the solution to the problem. Our problem is, we will take 1 and 9/13 and divide this by 9/26. Now, the first step that we have to take is that we need to check to see if there are any mixed numbers in the problem, and if there are, we need to convert these into top-heavy or vulgar fractions. So we will look at that process first. Since our problem has a mixed number, in this case it is 1 and 9/13, so we will deal with that first. So, to convert 1 and 9/13 into a top-heavy fraction, what we do is we take the whole number and we multiply that by the denominator, which in this case is 13ths. So what we can say another way is that this fraction consists of 13/13, if you like, plus 9/13. So the total will be 13 plus 9, which is 22, and that gives us a total of 22/13. So just to clarify that process again, we take the whole number, we multiply it by the denominator, 1 times 13, and then we add the total number of 13ths, which is 13, 1 times 13, to the numerator, which is on the top, in this case is 9, and that gives us a total of 22/13. And so therefore now we have 22/13 divided by 9/26. Now to explain the reason for the next step in the process, I'd like to change the numbers to more simple values to demonstrate the point. So I'm going to take the problem now with some new numbers of 5/1 divided by a half. Now we can see clearly that 5/1 is the same as 5. So our problem in this instance is 5 divided by a half. Now we all know that the answer, we can see clearly here, is that the answer is 10. And we can redraw this as 5 over a half. Now this does look rather unwieldy, but it serves the point. As we can see, the half is the denominator in the problem, and we divide 5 by a half, that gives us 10. However, what we can do, there is a slight trick here. If we were to take the denominator and invert it, so the half becomes, instead of 1/2, becomes 2/1, which we know is 2. We can take that and take it to the top and multiply the numerator, which is 5. So our problem now becomes, instead of 5 over a half, becomes 5 times 2, which we know is 10. So this proves the point that 5 divided by a half, 1/2, is exactly the same as 5 times 2/1. So now we can go back to our original problem again, which was 22/13 divided by 9/26. And so, as we've just explained, the next process is to take the denominator, which is 9/26, and we flip it, and this will give us 26/9. And now we take the denominator and we now multiply the numerator, which in this case is 22/13, by this new value. So this gives us 22/13 multiplied by 26/9. And this is exactly the same problem that I demonstrated earlier on, with 5 over 1. And the next stage is to take the product of the two numbers on the top, in this case 22 by 26, and divide by the product of the two numbers on the bottom, 13 times 9. The problem here is, though, in this instance we will have very large numbers as the numerator and also fairly large numbers as the denominator, which gives us 572 over 117. So before we do this, we can save ourselves some work by checking to see if the numbers can cancel down. So as a precursor to the step we've just described, we check to see if we can cancel vertically or diagonally. Note that we cannot cancel in the horizontal direction, so that means we can't cancel between the numerators at the top or the denominators at the bottom. Like I say, we can only cancel in a diagonal direction or vertically. So let's try this process then. So we'll check the left hand value, 22 over 13, and as we can see there are no common factors there, so we can't do anything with this one. And the right hand, 26 over 9, again there are no common factors. So we check diagonally, and this time we can see we've 13, which is the common factor with 26. So 13 can cancel down into itself once and cancels down into 26 twice. Checking diagonally the other way, 22 and 9, and as we can see there is again no common factor. However, we've simplified the problem now, and the problem is now 22 times 2 over 1 times 9. So all that remains to be done now is to multiply the top line and multiply the bottom line. So we have 22 times 2, which is 44 for the numerator, and the denominator line is 1 times 9, which is 9. So our answer becomes 44 ninths, which, as we can see, is a top-heavy fraction, and we don't normally leave the answer in this form, so we need to convert our final answer into a mixed number. This is done by dividing the denominator, which is 9, into the numerator, which is 44. We take the whole number, which in this case 9 goes into 44 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. 44 minus 36 leaves us with 8. So our final answer is 4 and 8 ninths. Now normally you'd also check to see whether this final answer can be simplified or cancelled down any further. In this case 8 ninths can't be simplified, so that remains our final answer, and the whole number added is 4 and 8 ninths. So just to recap the process again, the first stage is eliminate any mixed numbers by converting to a vulgar or top-heavy fraction. Invert the denominator. Change the sign from division to multiply. Check to see if there will be any cancellations in the vertical or crossways diagonally. Once any cancellation has been carried out, multiply the top lines, or the top two values, obtain the product, and then obtain the product from the bottom two values. Check to see if the answer is top heavy. If it's top heavy, convert to mixed numbers, and then check finally to see if it's possible to simplify the fractional part of the number. If not, then that is our final answer.